There's a type of person who will ruin their own life while imagining a better one. They talk about millions while scrolling for hours. They research business ideas while their room looks like a crime scene. They plan their glow up while eating the same junk, wearing the same clothes, living the same loop. This person isn't confused. They're not figuring it out. They're trapped in a psychological cage where dreaming feels like doing and doing feels like death. By the end of this video, you'll see the 5 reasons people stay stuck in lazy ambition and why most of them will never escape. But if you recognize yourself here, don't look away, because the first step to breaking out is admitting you built the cage yourself. Reason 1. They're addicted to the movie version. Lazy but ambitious people don't want success. They want the highlight reel of success. They're not building a life. They're rehearsing a fantasy. Picture this. They're lying in bed at 2 a.m., haven't worked out in months, haven't opened a book, haven't sent a single cold email. But in their head, they're giving interviews, they're showing off the house, they're posting the "I told you so" on their story. Here's what's sick about this. The brain releases dopamine when you imagine success, not just when you achieve it. So every time they picture their future self, they get a tiny hit of satisfaction. Why grind for years when you can close your eyes and feel like a winner right now? The fantasy becomes the drug, reality becomes the withdrawal. They spend so much time being legendary in their head that real life feels humiliating. The gap between fantasy me and actual me gets so wide that showing up as a beginner feels unbearable. So they retreat, back to bed, back to scrolling, back to the only place they still feel like somebody. If you spend more time imagining your future than building it, you're not ambitious, you're just high on potential. Real ambition doesn't live in your notes app, it lives in your calendar, your bank account, your body. Stop romanticizing the grind and actually do 20 boring minutes of it. Reason 2. Perfection is just fear with better branding. Lazy, ambitious people love saying, "I'm waiting for the right time. I want to do it properly. I'm still planning. I'm scared to be bad at something." They want to start a YouTube channel, so they research cameras, lighting, editing software. They watch 47 videos on how to blow up fast. They plan their content strategy for 6 months, but they never hit record. Because deep down, they know this truth. If I start and fail, that means I'm not talented. If I never start, I can keep believing I could have been great. Perfection isn't a standard, it's a shield. It protects them from the most terrifying possibility, trying hard and still being average. So their life becomes an endless research phase. They're always about to start, always one more course away, always not ready yet. Years pass. The person who just started badly and kept going, they're miles ahead now. All or nothing means you'll choose nothing 95% of the time. You're not blocked by lack of information, you're blocked by ego. You'd rather protect the illusion of greatness than risk being seen at level 1. Spoiler, everyone who's great now was terrible once. The only difference is they were willing to be embarrassed publicly, while you stayed planning privately. Reason 3. They built a fake identity, and now they're stuck in it. Lazy but ambitious people don't just want to be successful, they want people to see them as successful, even when they're not. They post motivational quotes. They talk about my brand and my vision. They say things like trust the process and big things coming. Ask them what they actually did this week. What they're doing is building an identity costume. They desperately need people to believe they're on the verge because deep down they feel ordinary, stuck, behind. That gap is painful, so they perform ambition instead of living it. They talk about future projects that don't exist. They exaggerate tiny steps into major moves. They curate a personality based on who they might become, not who they are. The costume becomes a prison. Now they can't just quietly start over. Everyone's watching. Everyone expects the big thing they kept teasing. So they freeze. Because actually trying would risk exposing the gap between the image and the reality,
and losing the identity feels worse than staying stuck. If your social media makes you look more successful than your bank account, you're not building, you're performing. Stop announcing, start executing. The world doesn't need another coming soon post, it needs proof. Reason 4. They love complaining more than changing. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Some people don't actually want a better life. They want to complain about their current life while staying comfortable in it. They say, I hate my job, I hate being broke, I hate my body, I hate this city. But when you ask what they did about it today, nothing. They came home and numbed out, scrolling TikTok, watching Netflix, ordering food they can't afford. Because their life is uncomfortable enough to complain about, but not uncomfortable enough to leave. Change would require awkward beginner faces, losing friends who only like the weak version, being judged, facing the possibility they're not as capable as they thought. Complaining gives them attention and sympathy. Changing gives them responsibility. Guess which one's easier? So they build a life where misery is familiar. They get so used to suffering in predictable ways that the thought of suffering in new ways, learning, failing, growing, feels unbearable. They'd rather stay in pain they know than risk pain they don't. If you've been saying, I'm going to change for more than 6 months and your life looks identical, you're lying, not to others, to yourself. You don't hate your situation enough to lose your comfort for it. And every day you choose the couch over the work is a vote for the life you claim to hate.
Reason 5. They're terrified success won't fix them. Some lazy but ambitious people avoid success because they're scared of what happens when they get it and still feel empty. They tell themselves, once I'm rich, I'll be confident. Once I'm famous, I'll finally feel valuable. Once I have the body, the career, the life, I'll be fixed. Their ambition isn't about building, it's about escaping themselves. But here's the terrifying thought they won't say out loud. What if I get all that and I still feel like me? What if the money doesn't cure the loneliness? What if the followers don't fill the void? What if success doesn't heal whatever's broken inside? Then what? Right now, they can blame their misery on lack of success. If they succeed and still feel broken, they lose their favorite excuse. So they sabotage. They start projects, then ghost them. They get opportunities, then forget deadlines. They almost succeed, then blow it at the last second. Not because they're stupid, because staying almost there protects them from the scariest truth. External wins can't fix internal damage. If your whole identity is, I'll be happy when I make it, real success is a threat, because it might prove you needed therapy, not just a bigger platform. You can't outrun yourself. You can't out-earn your inner void. You can't achieve your way into self-love. Start fixing the inside before you chase the outside, or you'll just be rich and still hate yourself. Lazy but ambitious people are not victims of bad luck. They are architects of their own stagnation. They choose fantasy over reality. They choose perfection over progress. They choose performance over proof. They choose comfort over change. They choose the dream over the work. And the saddest part? It's not that they can't change, it's that they won't. Because changing would mean admitting they wasted years, facing how far behind they are, risking failure after all that talk, losing the identity they've been hiding behind. So they stay, and every year, the gap between who they say they are and who they actually are gets wider. If this hurts to read, good. That means part of you is still alive, the part that knows you're capable, the part that's tired of your own excuses, the part that's been screaming, move, while you hit snooze for the 400th time. You don't need motivation, you need disgust. Disgust with how much time you've wasted, disgust with how many promises you've broken to yourself, disgust with the gap between your mouth and your life. The day that disgust becomes heavier than your fear,
That's the day you finally move.